Welcome back to No Apologies. I am Lori Hins, and with me remotely is Justus Knight, who is co-founder of Restricted Republic, a program which we have kind of partnered with unknowingly to get the information out about the Fufeng deal in Grand Forks, which is a wet corn milling plant there. And Justus, thank you very much for joining us. We were just recently before the break talking about how you had managed to kind of stumble on the story and then researched it and then went from there.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, this story, if you read it at face value, was the Chinese bought some land for a xanthan gum producer. And you would have stopped there and moved on and said, those darn Chinese. Of course, you always have to look at the bigger picture. So I dug into your Air Force base to learn a little bit more about what they're doing there. And that's really, Lori, where the story started unfolding and got into focus a lot more. What strategically could they have wanted with that piece of land? And what you came across is obviously, as you know, the 319th Reconnaissance Wing houses out of the Grand Forks Air Force Base. And everybody can look on their website and you'll see that and you'll see what they do. And it's a big picture of a drone. Mm-hmm. First flag comes off. First cause for concern.
Red flag.
Right. I'm like, okay, so let's obviously drone technology is becoming more critical to the modern day war front. It's how most battles are fought now. So it would be in Chinese interest to get closer to that sort of technology. Let's see what they're doing. Maybe the drone's flying over. We can spy in it. Not deep enough. So I dug deeper and found out what the 319th Reconnaissance Wing was involved in. And they were involved in a competition of sorts. It was called AMXS New Innovations. Mm-hmm. And what they're there to do is to train pilots in this saga. Basically, they were using kind of paint guns on a virtual screen in some ways to learn better surveillance techniques, learn how to operate drones better. And they had won. Your guys won out of the entire country, a fabulous achievement. But what they won and what project they participated in shocked me. It actually sent chills up my spine. Digging deeper into it, they participated in a project called Project Mercury. You go into it and there's 3 prongs to Project Mercury available. One is Arctic Fire. One is Project Arborist. Of course, we have to have the Green Deal associated with everything.
Agreed.
And everything.
Everything. Yes, you're right.
It never ends. And then Pacific Prime. Well, Pacific Prime, and there's a link, and I don't know if you have a way to get that to your viewers, but I'll make sure I get it to you. So if anybody requests it, they have it. And I played the video and watched it, and you get your typical battle scenarios, big booming music and thundering military, which they deserve all the respect and every ounce of energy we can give them. But suddenly it panned over to what country they were flying this mission over, and central focus was China and Taiwan. And so I watched it a little bit further to wonder what they were training on. What did they win here? What is this going to do? Well, the drones were there to provide, in the video, frontline support by dropping armament, by dropping supplies in the event, of course, according to what the pictures say, of an attack between China and Taiwan. So you take a deep breath. You finally found now what more than likely is the root cause for the desire for that property. Right. And you piece it back to the group we're discussing today and exactly why they wanted that property, in my opinion, as badly as they did.
It makes one wonder. It makes one wonder. And when you start asking questions like that, that's when it gets scary. For how long have we heard that China was going to overtake Taiwan? I'm trying to think back to how long it's been. And it's been for, since when Trump was still in office, correct? I mean, I know I've heard that for years now.
There's been rumblings forever. He's doing what he's always said he's going to do. He's going to take back everything. Actually, if you go with the Belt and Road Initiative, he will take over everything, because that is their desire. And I don't think America, the majority of Americans are awake enough to that. They're never given the information. What's the Belt and Road Initiative? Why is it involved in drills down in Mexico, right near our border right now, housing Iran and everybody else for war games? Right. And when you put that initiative into perspective, China is a very patient country. They'll do stuff in centuries that we want done overnight. So they've planted the seeds to basically control trade, to control governments, to control civilian populations. And they've done it slowly. They launched their little low scale, subdued attack of whatever it may be. And lo and behold, suddenly they're the savior. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar?
Sure does.
Wasn't there a big story recently that they may have been involved in?
Mm-hmm.
Which and that's really where we have to keep our focus right now, because in my opinion, I don't know yours, Lori, they're public enemy number one by far.
I think they are becoming a lot more. The national news has finally moved it to the point where they have said, okay, we need to really start watching at China. Now, the question is it too late? Have they already infiltrated so many things subnationally that we have to try to unwind all that now?
We need, and I tell everybody, it's a lot of our audience, and mine especially, at times will say, well, just forget all of government and dismantle it. And yeah, that's a wonderful thought, but it doesn't always work really well.
Right.
So we have to unwind this slowly. When you look at Biden and you look at Hunter, and you've studied the deals as long as we have, and finally it's coming out, trickling out as they allow it, there is so much intertwining between House of Representative members, Senate members, now the executive office, that is controlled by so much of China. I mean, for our representatives to sit with spies and pretend that's normalcy and allowed is mind-boggling. It's aggravating. Now, Holly comes out and says a little bit today. Lauren Boebert shot a tweet out saying, when are we going to investigate China land deals? Well, it's about darn time.
Yep,
what are we waiting for?
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. I am Lori Hinz, and with me is Justus Knight of Restricted Republic. And this is the program that he co-founded with his wife. And you have been so invaluable in digging up information for us here with our China Conquest Inside Job series. And boy, bringing Taiwan into it really was a game changer and an eye-opener for us here at Beck, believe me.
It should be. It should be for everyone, because we know it's pending. We know it's more possible now than ever with the current administration, who will do, I'm sure you agree, little to stand in the way of it, unfortunately. That's why we watch China so closely.
Well, we're in the throes of all of these different fronts at the same time, coming with information. Taiwan information about the citizens and how they are affected in the community, how they feel about it, the environmental concerns, the water concerns. There are so many different areas right now that are all coming at the city right now. What's mystifying to me is they're doubling down on the project, knowing what they know.
You have, it's Senator Kramer, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Our senator, yes. He's been very outspoken against the project, particularly in this last week. Especially,
because I think finally people are bringing light to it, and it's hitting the attention it deserves. But your city, so many cities are facing this full frontal attack, and it's what it is. I tell everybody, you may not call it a war, but we're at war, and they're hitting us on every front. And I always look at what they're not supporting to find out where the real agenda is. And you mentioned water. Take California, take Arizona, take Nevada. Number one concern in life is you need water to survive. So if your government was truly representative, the first thing they'd be focused on is making sure that that water supply doesn't run out, but they do nothing. Second would be to make sure we have enough food in the midst of this crisis. And what have they done? They threw out some last minute subsidies that will result in nothing. But then it comes out, satellite imagery comes out, and guess where? The number one and number two country who's actually going to have a bumper crop this year, China and Russia. It continues to unfold. And what your city, what your state is feeling is an impact of a global push. And again, I forgot I'm not on YouTube, so I can say globalist. You can't even use that word anymore, nor New World Order. Don't say that either.
You can do it here.
It's an encyclopedia of things you cannot say that trips off, and suddenly the video hits, nothing because they shut it down.
Yep.
But that should go to tell you too, right? Technology
right.
Who's running it.
You're over the target every time.
It's just right away. But it's what people need to be talking about, and what you're facing is an onslaught that nobody's going to step in to stop, unfortunately, unless there's enough noise. And
Right.
we as Americans are really bad at making noise, really bad. Look around the world right now. You see mass protests everywhere who are standing up against this large global movement because they're fed up. They're done. Now, they've been through it a lot longer than us. We still pretend we have some amount of freedom, but that's waning every single day at such a rapid pace. So Fufeng comes out and buys farmland. Big deal, Justice. No, they have the right to. Do they? Should they? My opinion is they shouldn't. No direct conflict against the United States, foreign country, or enemy should ever have any right to buy farmland. They're now in Texas, 10 years ago elsewhere. They've been doing this for years. The biggest impact, they bought Smithfield Foods. Smithfield Foods, one of the largest pork producers in the world. Chinese bought them. What do we say about it? Nothing. Nothing. We did nothing, which tells you, obviously, whose hands are controlling everything here have different interests. We've seen that through the Hunter Biden saga, which you got to really weed through what's good information, what's bad. But when you really publish and look at all and look at his business transactions and look at his ownerships, so many reside within China. It's not data coming off a laptop, folks. This is data validated, publicized, but just completely shut down by the media.
No, absolutely. And this is, as Tucker said, the topic of the time. It is exactly timely too. So it's amazing to me that little North Dakota with under 1 million residents, and the people here are making big noise and sounding the alarm. And I will tell you that what you need to know, if you don't about North Dakota, is that people here are very engaged in what's going on around them. They are very smart. We have an incredibly bright population here. And so they've really put this plant in the wrong place.
Well, that's amazing to hear. I wish we had more states in the union like that who cared and were concerned and voiced their opinion and don't sit back and be like, tomorrow will be fine. They're not touching me right now. They haven't come for my rights yet. Any right they come for is one right too many, no matter what group you may agree or disagree with. Everybody deserves their rights. But we've watched it tread on, and I'm so happy to hear. And I hope now this helps our audience grow out of your state too, because those voices are the most important. You have this argument, and the argument they gave for what happened in your state is we shouldn't do anything because they're not on the security prohibited list. China's not on the United States security prohibited list for buying valuable farmland. When we have rolling droughts throughout the country, every acre is important. But disregard that. They're not on our list. No shock. And now what's Biden going to do next? He's watching. And is he going to lower the tariffs down, Lori? What do you think? Is he going to lower the tariffs down?
That's a great question. If it's going to harm the country, it'll probably happen.
Bingo. And more than likely it will. But that's the overwhelming sentiment in Washington right now, where we should have congressional members standing up across the aisle, standing against this influence, not only on farmland, but now near a military base, a critical key component in our own defense. Who in their right mind would allow them within 100 miles, 200 miles? But that's disregarded. And that just goes to show you, and they're not even thinking about the environmental impact. They say they do, but they don't truly care about that. It's the hardest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree with that too. That is the last thing even on their minds. That's very, very true. Justice, this has been an absolute delight. I am so grateful for all your work and all of your due diligence in searching this out, in researching it, and getting that information out there too. So we're very, very grateful for what you do. Justus Knight with, you want to give your website so that people can find it and also information about your program?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the website's restrictedrepublic.com. You'll see us both flashing. No, actually, I think we moved ourselves lower now. Now it's the logo that has taken over, of course. We really try to cover everything that can't be covered anywhere else. We also do rebroadcast all our YouTube, all our Rumble, all our BitChutes, and we get out all the commercials and interruptions so you don't have to waste your time with all that stuff, to keep a full catalog for people to just educate themselves. And that's what the website's for. Just like your show, it's to educate and inform based on facts and not sound bites. And we are not a soundbite broadcast. If that's what you're looking for, the MSM's got you covered. Don't worry about it. But
that's
I know
okay.
your audience here is obviously not that person. So